I jumped into Mankind Divided immediately after playing Human Revolution. I didn't have 6 years for the internet's salt to poison my head. My friend who views the Jensen games as a core experience simply told me I had to play it. After finishing Human Revolution, I was hooked and starving for more of that world. I went in clean, expecting the obvious next step, the foundation of the original with better graphics and tighter gameplay. It sounded like the recipe for the greatest game of all time. But I quickly learned that being the perfect sequel on paper is a dangerous place for a game to be. The moment the prologue started, I felt the shift. I told my friend, "Oh, now I'm going Call of Duty mode." See, I'm the kind of player who annoys purists. I played Human Revolution like a room cleaning simulator. Stealth, tactics, vents, only if I felt like it. Most of the time, I'm playing Metal Gear like it's Gears of War. My friend was constantly in my ear about playing the game wrong. But Mankind Divided felt like it was finally meeting me halfway. The gunplay felt tight, the cover system was fluid, and the augments felt like they actually had weight. Then I got to Prague. Even now, 9 years after its release, Mankind Divided looks like it could have come out today. The visual jump from Human Revolution is night and day. Walking through the streets of Prague, I was floored by the density. It's a visual follow-up to the vibe of Half-Life 2 or Alex. That oppressive Eastern European atmosphere mixed with high-tech filth. Jensen himself looked incredible. The new aesthetic, the acronym designed outfit. I was hooked immediately. I thought if the whole game was like this, looking at a masterpiece. Mechanically, Mankind Divided is a huge step up. It's objectively the best playing game in the series. Everything that needed to tune up from Human Revolution got it. The movement is snappier, the stealth feels more reactive, and the experimental augs added a layer of customization that the first game lacked. I'll be honest, I barely use remote hacking. I'm a simple man. I'd rather use EMP ammo to take stuff out temporarily and move on. I didn't see a massive difference in the level verticality compared to the first, but what I did notice was the hub density. Prague is one of the best immersive sim hubs ever made. It's smaller than Detroit or Hangsha in terms of travel distance, but it's thicker. Every apartment feels lived in. Every terminal has a story that feels connected to the world. It's a masterclass in environmental storytelling. But as I spent more time in Prague, I started to notice the scale problem. In Human Revolution, you're a globe trotter. You're bouncing from Detroit to Hensha to Singapore to the Arctic. You feel the weight of a global conspiracy. In Mankind Divided, you're basically in Prague. That's it. One major hub. It feels egregious because sequels are supposed to expand. And yet here I was, confined to a single city hub. I told my friend it feels like a DLC type situation. It felt like what happened with Final Fantasy Versus 13 turning into Final Fantasy 15. You can see the bones of a much larger, more ambitious project that got hacked into pieces by outside forces. About 5 hours in, I had a conversation with my friend that changed how I looked at the game. I asked him, is this story just about racism? He paused. To him, the Jensen duology had always been about the Illuminati, the shadowy hand, the information control, the puppet masters. He didn't even connect the racism angle initially because he was so focused on the overarching conspiracy. But playing it now in 2026, it feels less like a metaphor, more like a premonition. In Human Revolution, there was a sense of awe. It was about the Icarus myth, the humanity reaching too close to the sun. Mankind Divided is the morning after the crash. The gold is gone. Everything is gray, brutalist, and rusted. The game forces you to stand in AUG-only lines. It makes you watch as the police harass people for the crime of having a mechanical limb. Back in 2016, critics called this heavy-handed, but looking at it today, that heavy-handedness feels necessary. The game isn't just about racism, it's about the systemic othering of people by the forces at the top. The Illuminati realized that if they could make the naturals fear the AUGs, they wouldn't have to worry about anyone looking up at the people pulling the strings. There's a profound melancholy And Adam Jensen in this environment, he feels detached, almost ghostly. He's an augmented man working for the government that's actively oppressing his kind. He's caught in the middle of a world that's tearing itself apart, and he looks tired. He's not the savior anymore. He's just the guy trying to find the truth in a city that's already decided what the truth is. One of the biggest criticisms I have is the lack of interesting main characters. In Human Revolution, I could still name Megan Reed, David Seraph, Pritchard, Tong, Eliza Kazan. They felt like a family. In Mankind Divided, besides Jensen and Vega, I struggled to name anyone. The writing in the main path felt subpar. The boss fights, non-existent, save for the finale. However, the side missions are where the game heart actually beats. The Mystery Aug's questline is easily one of the best things in the game. Reconnecting with Seraph, the mystery regarding Madame Photograph, the Watcher keeping track of Jensen, the Orlov connection. This is where the real Deus Ex is hiding. My favorite moment in the entire game, and it's a small one, happens after the mission in the Swiss Alps. If you've done the legwork and found the schematics showing augmentations similar to those installed in Jensen, you unlock a secret dialogue with Seraph. That moment of realization, that connection to the past, felt more Deus Ex than the entire Golem City mission. It's the kind of detail that makes you realize that developers knew what they were doing, even if they weren't allowed to finish. I wasn't aware of the microtransaction controversy while I was playing, but looking back, it's clear that the corporate side of the game was suffocating the artistic side. Mankind Divided didn't fail, it was stopped. The story is barely half a story. It ends right when the stakes feel like they're finally reaching a boiling point. It's not just short, it's incomplete. It's Act 1 of a trilogy that was never allowed to finish. When the credits rolled, my immediate reaction was just confusion. If Mankind Divided had received its sequel, the proper conclusion to the Jensen trilogy, we're looking back at it today as a flawed masterpiece that set the greatest finale in gaming history. Instead, it's a bridge to nowhere. In 2026, the tragedy of Deus Ex is even sharper. We haven't really progressed that much graphically since Mankind Divided. You look at this game and then you look at Cyberpunk 2077, and the difference isn't as vast as you'd think. Mankind Divided was so far ahead of its time technically that it still holds up as a modern experience today, which only makes it sadder that the franchise is currently rotting in a basement. Square Enix selling the franchise to Embracer Group mismanages this series into the ground. They tried to push out a slot remaster of the original, and because people complained about the low effort quality, they seemingly used as an excuse to shelve the whole thing, and now it's most likely been postponed indefinitely. It's insulting. Deus Ex is a series that set the trend, whether it's the 2000 original or the Jensen reboot. It defined what it meant to have player choice and a story that actually asked, what does it mean to be human? And now it's being treated like an unwanted tax write-off. The most frustrating part, a modern remaster using Unreal Engine 5 would be so easy to mod. It would show the world that people still want this kind of game, but instead we get nothing. The franchise is done for, and it feels like we were robbed of the series we deserve. Deus Ex Mankind Divided isn't a bad game. It's a game that was punished for being incomplete. It's a game that was clearly sliced up to fit a corporate release schedule, saddled with controversy it didn't ask for, and then abandoned when it didn't hit infinite money targets. It followed a legend in Human Revolution, and instead of being allowed to surpass it, it was forced to be a stopgap. I went in clean, expecting the best game of all time. What I got was brilliant, beautiful, and deeply frustrating half game. I love it because it's more Deus Ex. I hate it because I know it was supposed to be so much more. It's the most misunderstood entry in the series, not because people didn't get it, but because we were never given the full picture. It's a masterpiece of missed potential, and in 2026, looking at the state of the industry, that bitterness hasn't faded. It's only gotten stronger.